Okay, and welcome to that virtual 401k virtual conference for Ari Rosenbaum here. Uh, I don't know. How do I say this? You would think that this would be the end of it. Anytime I schedule another one, I'm like, I hope this is it. And then you never really know. All I know is the 2021 Major League Baseball schedule is already out. And so I'm rescheduling our dates for Houston, St. Louis, and Minnesota. And hopefully we can have them. But first things first, next week we're going to try a new thing called that 401k Virtual Bunch, which is going to be like a 30-minute hour, instead of a webinar, more of a meeting room, talking to a couple of people in the industry and getting their insights, and something a little bit less structured than what we have here. Go and find out LinkedIn posts and Twitter and all that on how to sign up for that as well. And let's get right off the bat. Samantha Russell's I'm a big fan of marketing, big fan of people who are marketing experts who understand the retirement plan business. I know a thing or two about marketing just because I guess you're on here. I never took a marketing class, and I'm sure there are mistakes that I'm making all the time. But here's Samantha to take us until 12:30.
Hi, everybody. Thanks so much for having me, Ari. As he said, Samantha Russell here from 20 over 10. If you're not familiar with 20 over 10, it is a digital marketing platform specifically for financial advisors, those in financial services, insurance. And so we provide you the tools that you need to market your business while also staying compliant, archiving everything you need. So I'm going to go through this kind of quickly today, but you'll have all the slides afterwards. And if there's anything in particular you're really interested in, you can always connect with me after and get some more follow-up info. So that was a picture of me and my husband, Ryan, and our two little ones. We live in State College, Pennsylvania. I don't know if we have any Penn State fans or haters on the line today. But you can also connect with me, Samantha20 on Twitter or Samantha C. Russell on LinkedIn. And I really love when people do connect with me and then they'll tag me when they post things following the tips I'm going to leave today and ask me to critique, say, do this better, or how do I write this better? I love that. So please do connect with me on those platforms, and then I can help you with your social media posts in real time. So today we're going to talk about these few things, how to get past the hurdles to using social media, who's on which platforms in terms of the clients you're trying to reach, specific platform nuances to be aware of, the best times to post, the best type of content that's going to give you the highest engagement, and then what trends we're seeing moving forward. So what's the number one thing that frustrates you about social media? I ran a webinar on this very topic recently, and these were some of the top concerns that people listed. So I'd love for you all to put in the chat box, what's the number one thing that's frustrating you? Where does it align with what we see here? Is it that you don't know how to use it? You feel like you don't have enough time? Is it compliance? What are the things that you're struggling with when it comes to social media? So share with all of us, but these are the things that we most often hear. And so I'm going to address them throughout the presentation and hopefully help you get past these hurdles. So I just want to share a quick story because I think it will help everybody get on the same page, and stories are a great way to connect with your audience. So make sure you're using them in your own social media posts. But here's Anthony. He's an advisor who works with equity compensated executives. So I know not exactly the same demographic, but I think the story still holds true. So he got started posting on LinkedIn on February 18th of 2019, and his very first post had only 3 views. So he was, disheartened. He's like, this stuff doesn't work. But he talked with, some different marketing experts, and he was told it's just like investing. It's a long-term value proposition. You're not going to reap the reward on day one. So you need to do it and do it consistently. So he took it to the extreme and said, I'm going to post every single day for 18 months and see what results I get. So he wrote 307 posts in 2019 after that first one in February. And he went from 300 followers to almost 2,000 followers by the end of that year. In July, so just a few months after he started, his average views had went up from 3 views per post to 554. But by December, at the end of the year, his average views had went up to over 2,000 per post. And when I spoke with him in January, he had told me it was the largest growth in net new assets that he had ever had. And he had added 8 new households in those 10 months. So this isn't just something that is feel good or brand awareness. It really does produce results if you do it correctly. So why is this so important? I think especially right now with the pandemic, we all know that people are online more than ever. But this is a study back in 2018 that shows even well before this all started, we were spending an incredible amount of time per day with media. So if you think the average person sleeps 8 hours a night, hopefully if you're lucky and you don't have a baby like me who keeps you up all night, then you're awake 16 hours a day. And of those 16 hours a day, even back in 2018, look at this, we were spending over 11 of those hours with media per day. So you need to be where people are if you want to reach them, and social media is a big part of it. Just one more stat before I get into the how-to for how you can leverage this. The Bank of New York Mellon Pershing did a study of over 1,000 investors, and they asked them, where do you go to find information out about an advisor? I know, again, this, is specifically investors, but this applies to everybody. What is the thing we do if we want to find someone, or we're looking for a service or a product or a plumber or a restaurant? We Google them. That is how we find information today. And this holds true in all industries. Right after that, though, you'll see LinkedIn, Facebook, those are all coming up. And often if someone does Google, your social profiles will appear in the search results. Okay. So which platforms should you be on? I just did a quick breakdown depending on who you're trying to target of the breakdown of male versus female and age groups. So I'm not going to tell you today which platform you should be on. You need to determine that based upon who you're trying to reach. If you're working with a lot of HR and people that are, making decisions for the companies, LinkedIn is a fantastic place to reach those folks. And so that is the number one place that I would suggest. If you're trying to get your business in the news more and you want to get more quotes and you want to get, mentioned in the media more often, then Twitter is where you want to go, because that's where all the journalists hang out and that's where you can make great connections to get quoted more. So it really depends where your target audience is. But, those are the two that I would say for this audience, especially LinkedIn, is where you're often going to find a lot of success just because of the type of people you're trying to reach. So should you set up a personal page or a business page? That's a top question that we always get, and I'm going to give you a nuanced answer. So number one, you do want to claim both your personal and your business name, regardless of which one you're actively going to be posting on. And that's because of SEO, search engine optimization. Every business that you claim has the opportunity for you to link back to your website, and those backlinks boost your site's ranking in Google. So you want to make sure you claim all of your businesses. But then, think about what scheduling app you're using. Will it allow you to post to a business page? For instance, Facebook does not allow you to post to a personal page if you're using a social media scheduling app. You can only post to, you can only post to business pages, not personal pages. So it sort of depends what your goals are, but make sure you do claim both. And if you are going to post primarily to a business account, make sure you're including the face of your organization in those posts. And that's because people connect with people more than they connect with brands. So for instance, whenever we post at 20 over 10, a video of our CEO, one of our designers, or me talking in the video format, we get way more engagement than if it's just a link to a blog post. And that's because people want to see the faces of the people that they're going to work with. So using video is a great way to do that. Okay, so next thing I want you to do is to memorize the 4 social media don'ts. So these are like our commandments that we want everyone to remember. And if you write these down, every time you go to write a new post, you want to think about them before you get started. So the first thing is, don't start your posts with I, my, or we. You want to make it all about the person reading your post, right? So if they are scrolling through their feed, what's going to stop them in their tracks and make them want to click on it? Why is it worth it for them to read it? So instead of saying something like my social media tips, I would say how to write better social media posts that get more clicks. The other thing you don't want to do is use the passive voice. So a lot of times I'll see people who will write, check out my latest blog post, or I just wrote this piece that was featured in this publication. That's all about you. And again, you want to make it all about them. So instead of, one of those examples you can see here, Jeannie Fisher, who I love. If you guys aren't connected with her on LinkedIn, she has hashtag the 401k lady, and she has great content. But, during all of the pandemic, when it first got started, she had this great post. Do you have less than 500 employees facing financial issues from the coronavirus? Here's how to get your $10,000 stimulus check. It's to the point, it's addressing a problem that her followers and the people that she's trying to serve have. And then she also includes a video to make it easier. So if someone doesn't want to read a long form blog post, they can just listen to her quick video. And you can see, she got 70 likes, 5 comments, and over 3,000 views on that video. So 2 more of these 4 commandments. Don't be too broad. So you really want to write for a specific audience. So if you're mostly working with people who are in HR, think about them. What happens on their day-to-day? What time of year is it? What are they struggling with right now? What decisions are they having to make? And address the questions and concerns that they are facing. We really want to visualize. They're going into the office today. What are they facing right now? And especially for that group, right? They have a lot of things on their plate as we all deal with people starting to go back to work and social distancing. So what kind of content can you provide that's going to make their life easier? Those are the things that you want to focus on. You also never, ever, ever want to share the link to an article without giving context to why you are sharing it. And I see this happen all the time. Someone will just post a link, but they don't tell us, why should we click it? What's it about? Why is it worth my time? That is a huge mistake. And you're not going to get engagement or build a following if you do that. So you need to take the time to say, what's your opinion on the article? Why is it worth someone's time to read it? You can share an interesting stat or a quote from the piece. Or just explain, why should somebody actually read it? And I've include this little blog post at the bottom if you want to, print these out and keep track of them, where you can find all of these commandments and more info. So if we take all of those 4 tips and we look at a before and an after, this again is an example of someone who connected with me on LinkedIn. He was about to share this. He messaged me and said, hey, do you have a minute to look at this? I'm about to share this. What do you think? And I immediately wrote back to him and said, you should take the 10 core beliefs and put them into the post themselves so people don't have to click on it to read it. And then you should ask people to leave a comment about which of those beliefs resonate with them most. So he rewrote it, and you'll see here, he had 23 people comment saying which of these, core beliefs resonated with him most. So this is just a great example of how you can use those 4 commandments to really rework your social media posts, and putting in the time makes a huge difference because you'll see way more engagement. Okay. The next thing I want you to remember is this, what we call the 60-40 rule. So another mistake we see people making all the time is they just post content and that's all they do. 60% of the time, you should be actually engaging with other people's posts on social media, and only 40% of the time posting your own content. So mark it off on your calendar, do it on your lunch break, maybe every morning while you're drinking your coffee, log on and spend 5 minutes just leaving comments or liking other people's posts. Comments are better than just clicking like. And this is going to build reciprocity so that when you go to post something, someone's much more likely to engage with it, right? If Ari posts something about a conference he has, and every time he's posting it, I'm commenting it saying, this looks great, this looks great. When I post something, he's much more likely to say, oh, Samantha, that looks like a great event. Reciprocity is huge, and it's how you actually be social on social media. The alternative, what I see so many people doing where they just post their own content, is I want you to imagine this analogy. You go to a networking event and you have a billboard, a sign, and it says, I am a 401k plan administrator, or I provide 401k plans. And here's my contact info, and here's why it's so great. And you walk around the room holding that sign up to everyone you see, and then you leave. And you never talk to anyone. You never ask anybody what they do for work. You don't engage with them. That would be the similar thing of just posting all the time on social media without engaging with others. So make sure you're following that 60-40 rule. And a really easy way to see is, especially on LinkedIn, you can go to your profile and under activity, you can click all activity and see in the last, few days, what have you liked, what have you commented versus what you yourself have posted. So that's a really easy way to check it out. Okay, so now let's get into the meat and potatoes. Here are 8 things that you can do to actually get more engagement on your own social feeds. So tip number 1, almost always end your own posts with a question. If you want to build comments, and comments is how you get more eyeballs, how you build more followers, you want to end with a question. So here's a great example, actually from Instagram, from a brand called The Financial Gym. And at the end of summarizing these different methods for savings, they ask, which is your favorite method, and allow people to comment. Comments are going to build that conversation. So you can ask all different kinds of comments, or ask for all different kinds of comments, but just make sure the minute somebody does leave a comment that you're responding to their comment and engaging back with them. So you can also post a snippet of what you're linking to and ask people if they want to get the full guide or the full report or the blog post to comment below. So in this example, we did a post where we showed how you can increase visitors over time. And we said, we have a checklist covering how you can keep your website updated weekly, monthly, and quarterly. Comment below if you want us to send it your way. Now, this checklist lives on our website. Anyone could go pull it up. It's just a blog post that we had written a few months prior. But people are not going to, you always want to go head over to your blog and dig through. And when you ask them to leave a comment to get it, what ends up happening is now everyone in their network sees that comment and has the ability to also see your post. So comments build your visibility on social media. So the more comments you can get, the better. And the more comments quickly you can get, the better. So this is a great strategy to, again, get more comments, which will boost your visibility in the network. You don't want to do this with every single post, though. It's very frustrating if someone has to comment every time. But I'd say you could do this like once every 14 days, every other week, as a great strategy to get more comments. The other thing is to use hashtags that people in your industry are going to be following, and to tag people as well. So here's another great example from Jeannie Fisher, who I mentioned earlier. So she's got the human resources tag in there. She has benefits. She's got fiduciary, target date fund. And then she tags either different firms that they work with or people that are on her team, so that those people will know she posted this, and they'll be much more likely to like or comment on the post as well. So again, hashtags anyone can follow, but the tagging is really going to alert specific individuals who will then come back and either reshare, like, or comment on your post. Using images and infographics is also a surefire way to get a lot more engagement. Imagine if you're scrolling through your feed and you saw this visual, you're much more likely to stop and look at it than if it was just the title of a blog post, right? So imagine if you had a blog post and it said, Roth versus traditional are which is better for you, and you had to click it to see this, versus if you just see it in your feed, you're much more likely to want to see it and engage with it. So using these is a really great way to get more engagement. You don't need to build them all out yourself. So Dimensional Fund, they have great graphics if you work with them. You can go to things like Visual Capitalist. That's a great blog that has great visualizations, data visualizations, and you can just credit wherever you get it from, but you can pull those images and put them on your social feeds and make sure you give credit. Or you can build your own using a free tool called Canva. So that's Canva, and that will allow you to build something like this. So they have pre-made templates that you can just plug and play in your own data. The next tip is to what we call keep it real every once in a while. So as much as you want it to be all about your business and what you offer, you will find if you deviate every once in a while and post a picture of your family or your kids, or you running a marathon, or your team volunteering, those are the posts that are going to get the most likes, the most comments, and the most engagement. Because at the end of the day, we're all going to social media to connect with other people, and that is what people are there for. So don't be afraid to show your personality. Remember that people are always looking to work with advisors that they feel are going to be honest and ethical and that they can trust. And how do you portray that? It can be really difficult to do that, but sharing a little bit about yourself shows that you're willing to be vulnerable and allow someone else to be vulnerable back and rebuild that rapport. So this is a really great strategy. I would say at least once every like 6 weeks or so at a minimum to do this if you want people to really start to feel like they're getting to know you and not just the brand. Okay, tip number 6. This is a strategy you don't have to use, but I find it works really well. People like to laugh, especially right now. The world is very serious. There's a lot going on. If you can make people feel like they had a moment to laugh, they're going to remember you and your content and want to keep following you for more content. So whether you use a GIF or a meme or something, you can just create content that's really fun. And again, this you can create your own using tools like Canva, C-A-N-V-A, or just find something that's already out there and repost it. Okay, tip number 7, whenever you are going to share one of your own pieces of content, so you write a really great blog post or you have a podcast or you have a webinar, don't just share it. You want to, again, go really more in depth into what it's all about so that you're getting people to buy in enough that they want to keep reading the rest. So you can, again, offer your opinion. You can pull out a quote or a stat. You can, pull out like maybe 1 or 2 of the meatiest takeaways. But that is a really great approach to get people to then want to read the rest. So you can see here, I pulled out a pretty decent amount from the article itself. This got a ton of clicks because people wanted to read the rest of the strategy. So you hook them in just enough to get them to keep clicking. And the last tip, tip number 8, use video. Video is a game changer. It allows people to see your face, to hear your voice, to feel like they get to know you. And for a lot of you, if you're trying to build a brand where when someone's finally ready to make a change or roll out a new program and you want them to be thinking of you, the easiest way to stay top of mind is to stay in their feeds with your face, literally in their feed all the time. And so video allows you to do that. So you can do what we call talking head videos with something as easy as your smartphone, or this is a tool called Loom that allows you to record your face and your screen at the same time. So those are both really simple, easy tools, don't cost you anything to get started with. One final tip about this though, when you are using video, whether you are using, something from your smartphone or Loom, don't upload it to YouTube and then link to the YouTube video, because what that does is it takes you off of Facebook or off of LinkedIn or off of Twitter. Those social media platforms, they want to keep people on their social media platform as long as they can. So you instead want to upload the video, what we call natively. So you would take that video file, upload it in its raw format onto Facebook or LinkedIn or Twitter, and then people can watch it right in the app while they're scrolling and they never have to click away. That's going to give you a lot more visibility, and the algorithm will like that more and boost your content in people's feeds a lot more. Okay, I'm not going to go into all these because we don't have time, but I'll just show you really quickly here. I listed out for LinkedIn, for Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, how often per day you should be posting. So everything from Twitter 3 to 15 times a day versus Facebook once a day, who it's the most popular channel for, and some quick little nuances for each of those platforms. So you'll have these slides and you can check those out. But I just want to end on what tools that you should consider using. So if you're looking for a social media scheduler, here are some good options. And you'll see I listed LeadPilot in all of these. LeadPilot is 20/10, our firm's newest tool that we just rolled out back in February, which is combining everything you need for social media in one. So it gives you your graphics, your landing pages, your social media scheduler, but these are all the other tools I listed are also great. So whether you want to sort of cobble together your own tech stack or try out an all-in-one tool like LeadPilot, save this screenshot, and these are some different tools that you can use that will really help you up your game. If you're interested in chatting more with me and learning how we can help you, or have questions for me about your own social media strategy, you can reach me at marketing@20over10.com. And you can check out leadpilot.io or 20over10.com. This phone number goes to our general line, so I'm not the one answering it, just so you know, but they will put you in touch with me if need be. And I thank you so much for having me here today.
Samantha, it was fantastic. Great insight. We do have a couple questions.
Great.
Number one, Samantha, great stuff. Should you limit the number of hashtags in an individual post to a certain amount? Sometimes I feel that people go a bit overboard with hashtags, but maybe that's just me.
No, that's a great question. I actually never put hashtags in the body copy of my posts. I always leave them at the end. So it's easier for people to read it and not be distracted. And I never use more than 3 or 4 at the max on LinkedIn or Facebook. On Twitter, I never use more than 1.
Samantha, how do you feel about follower count on Twitter? Try to secure as many followers as humanly possible, or quality or over quantity? What about LinkedIn? Should we accept everybody's invitations to connect or be selective? And how aggressive should we be in maximizing connections? I mean, the LinkedIn question is fantastic. That's something that's been, I remember the debate 10 years ago about that, you know. Should you
Yeah,
just accept everybody, or should you look at quality and connections and all that stuff?
I don't accept everybody. I can always tell before they even do pitch me if someone's going to pitch me or not, honestly, by what their title is. So if it says, I help C-suite executives hire the right people, I'm like, they're going to pitch me on for the positions we have open, right? Versus if it's a financial advisor, I'm like, oh, great, they're looking for help with their content. So I definitely am selective, but I just honestly am selective by looking at the title of their name. So there is still some people that I click accept and immediately they try to sell me on something. And when that happens, I just reach back out to them and say, I'm not interested in connecting with people who are just here to sell me immediately. So if you want to disconnect, we can. And then that usually will stop them. And if they send me another message, I do then delete the connection. On Twitter, it's funny. You can always tell people who are building up a genuine following because they have great content versus those who are, they're just following and following back everyone based upon this one telling sign. So if the number of followers you have pretty much verbatim matches the total number of people following you, that's like a 1-to-1 swap, right? I follow you, you follow me. Versus somebody who's got a lot of followers, but they're not following as many people. That means a lot of people are following them for their content creation. And I mean, at the end of the day, the more eyeballs you get on your content is a good thing, but you want to have a network that's going to engage with your content. So again, if you're really out there helping human resource departments and business owners put 401k plans in place, then those are the people you should be trying to get to follow you. And a great way to do that is to put content out that they'll want to see, so that when you do send a connection request, they will accept it because they went to your page and they're like, oh man, they're posting all these great tips for people in my role. Yeah, I'll follow them. One final tip on that. I like to do the low-hanging fruit approach. So I'll see that Ari and I have 100 connections in common, let's say. And I'll say, okay, let's click on this first one, Jim Davis. Jim and I have 10 connections in common. Ari's one of them. So I might click connect and send him a message saying, hey, I see we're both connected to Ari and 9 other people, wanted to connect here. And that's it. I'll connect with him. He'll usually accept. I don't send him a message afterwards trying to sell him on anything. We just might be connections, and that's the farthest it goes. Often what happens though is then over time, those people will reach out to me saying, I'm so glad I connected with you. You share such great, helpful content.
Yeah, I write so many articles about that. It drives me nuts when you're on LinkedIn and then all of a sudden they want to connect to you and immediately they want to sell. Because any good relationship on LinkedIn, people know what I do. If they want a risk attorney, they'll call me. That's it. You're a great marketer. If they know, oh, well, Samantha's putting out great content. When I need that help, I'm going to reach out to her. But the idea that immediately, as soon as you link, accept a connection and they're just selling you something, it's like spam. It's like spam email. I don't know how that works, but I guess maybe it does. I don't know.
I am not an advocate for it either. I think if something is irritating to you, imagine how the people on the receiving end will feel.
Yeah, people find my weekly emails irritating sometimes. They just disconnect that 1%, and just immediately say no. So anyway, Samantha, I appreciate it. And again, if you need slides, send me an email and I will provide the slides because I have everybody's slides for today. So Samantha, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you so much for having me. And one more plug, connect with
Yes.
me. There's my LinkedIn and my Twitter, and I will be so looking forward to connecting with all of you and getting to know you and your content offline. So thank you so much for having me.
And if you connect with her, don't try to sell her anything. And don't try to sell me anything either. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. And Our next presentation is going to be, let me get it up there. One of these days, I'm actually going to learn how to use this. Hold on one second. Does everybody see that? Or no?
No.
Nope. Okay. Hold on one second. Okay. It's like I have to share the screen, and I'm trying to share the screen. Only the host. Okay, hold on. There's always something. Here we go.
There you go.
Share the screen. Yeah, you see, it takes me, I have a couple of degrees and Zoom is not my thing. Okay, next presentation is from FBA National. They are clients of mine for about, I'm going to say 7 years now, 6, 7 years. I lose track of time. FBA National is in the business of providing benefits, except for retirement plans. And they are offering what I believe is going to be the next stage for TPAs and advisors in developing ancillary businesses, and in conjunction with pooled employer plans and multiple employer plans. I think the future is going to be what I call pooled employer benefits. So Brian and Joanne, you can take it away.
Okay, great. First, I'd like to begin by thanking you, Ari, and the rest of you for viewing this presentation. I'm Joanne Deskovich, and I am an insurance broker with FBA National. So we're going to jump right into the agenda. We'd like to give you a brief overview of FBA National. And today, our focus will be on value-added HR, as well as employee benefit services and technology that you can provide your clients for free. So the two things that we're going to spend a little time on is an HR learning management system, as well as an HR and benefits administration technology. Then I'm going to pass it over to one of my colleagues, Brian Dobbins, who you'll be hearing from shortly. He is going to show you a BenAdmin platform. And we'll spend some time discussing in detail how your clients, as well as yourselves, can benefit from this and earn more money. And we'll leave it to the end, any questions you may have, or you can speak with us directly. Next slide, please. So just to give you a little overview of FBA National, our portfolio ranges from health to liability insurance to tax-free products. So we can either work with you directly or with your prospective clients to develop the most cost-effective and strategic solutions offerings. And we keep in mind that we're going to optimize the employee benefit offerings, and we'll do that by providing the appropriate services, products, and technology. So I just want to point out, FBA is a third-party administrator for those non-tax products, and they will include FSA, HRAs, dependent care, as well as commuter benefits. And we provide multilingual client services, that's kind of neat, in English, Spanish, Chinese, and Russian, all out of our Garden City office. Next, please. So as it relates to employee benefits, we will work with clients both locally and nationally, from startups to 10,000 employees across all industries. Again, we're going to help businesses to help control the healthcare costs. And we do that by providing some alternative benefit strategies. We're going to ease administrative hassles, and we're going to drive greater engagement and better outcomes for the employees. So employers can select whatever benefit plan coverages they want to provide their employees other than medical coverage. Most cases, we see they provide medical, dental, vision, life, AD&D. However, the employees can choose from a variety of ancillary benefits that will best suit their needs, individual needs, or their family needs. So it could be dental, vision, life AD&D, critical illness, hospital indemnity, accident, cancer, pet insurance, identity theft, and legal assistance. Next, please. So I now want to spend a little time on the HR learning management system. This is something that we give to each and every one of our clients for free, as long as they bring us on for employee benefits. It has to be group insurance of 2 employees or more. What's really neat, they're going to get a living adaptable handbook, and it reflects the latest multi-state and federal regulations across the US. When you think about what companies pay, sometimes they invest $1,500, $2,000 in providing employee handbooks. This is something where it says it's adaptable, meaning anytime these rules and regulation changes, the HR person or the person administering this information will get an update. If it's something that is a must-have, they have to accept it. If it's an option, they can choose to elect it or not. Inside of the Management LMS program, you also get an extensive resource library and guidance to ensure that you're compliant with the ever-changing rules and regulations. And then there's an HR hotline. So you have unlimited access to subject matter experts who are senior level HR. It doesn't mean that you have to be calling them about benefits. It could be you have a situation involving an employee. Maybe you need to help or assistance with a performance management, or it could be wage and hour, workplace safety. They're available all the time. And again, that you're not limited to how much usage. Next slide, please. So inside of the learning management system, there are over 200 self-paced online training courses and videos. For HR personnel, they love it for 2 reasons. 1, they can take courses, they can get SHRM credits. For those who are certified, they have to maintain about 60 credits every 2 years. And then they can also provide these training courses to their employees. So for example, they may give them a New York State sexual harassment prevention training or something on workplace safety. They have a boatload that they can choose from to help foster the overall professional development of their employees. When you look at, and I'll give you an example, 100 Life Group organization will probably spend about $10,000 just on that learning platform. So there's a lot of value in that. They'll also receive monthly newsletters, webinars, and law alerts will go out on a regular basis. In addition to that, there's open enrollment kits, and then all the communications will include the company branding and logo. And they have online tools, forms, and templates. One of the things that's really neat is there's also a benefits document creator. So if there are certain forms or company information, that you can maintain it in this repository, and you can also get e-signatures as well. Next slide, please. And so the second thing that we're providing clients is a benefits administration technology platform. I just want to highlight the things that are most important before I turn it over to Brian. As everyone's aware, more and more employees are working remotely. And this gives an opportunity for HR and the employees to operate a little bit more efficiently. If employees are not doing it now in the given company organizations, employees will be able to enroll online for their benefits. And they can also complete new hire onboarding forms and sign, company policies. And they can do that, and maintain that information securely, as opposed to having, a paper-based environment. HR will be able to monitor the employee's enrollment status and deadlines. And then there are also some decision support tools that are built in. So that helps the employees to make informed decisions, to select the benefits that's most important to them as an individual or their family members. So employee data, including payroll benefits, as well as paid time off, is all under one system. So employees will receive relevant communications, education, and it promotes overall engagement. Next slide, please. So I'd like to turn this over to Brian. Brian's going to share with you, what's the benefits for this Ben Admin platform for you, as well as for your clients. Brian, next slide, please.
Thank you, Joanne. Hi, everyone. I'm Brian. I'm going to be speaking on the benefit administration platform and conduct about a 5 to 6 minute demo of the system. Before I do that, just wanted to touch on, the value add proposition of this service. So we can help the client out as well as helping you out. So with this system, if you allow us to plug in 3 voluntary benefits, we can actually provide the system to the client for free. That's no charge. This will save them about $3,000 a year. If we're talking about the license level on a monthly basis, it's a little more, but we can give that to them for free and also train them on the system. So we can provide them with a training course on, how to create the group, how to import the employees, and how to handle the ongoing maintenance, such as the new hire enrollments and terminations. Now, in terms of you and giving you, all the 401k people here some chances to have some value as well, we can actually drive our the client's employees from our system to your 401k portal. So what we'd be doing is we'd be linking the portal in our enrollment, and we'd be having each employee pass that stage. We'd provide any kind of communications, marketing advertisement that you would like the employee to understand about the benefit, and we can actually have them go right from our portal into your portal, as well as we have revenue sharing mechanisms set up for insurance, licensed insurance agents, so you can make money that way. If there are unlicensed agents, we can have fees from discount products, as well as a 20-30% commission for all referrals to our system. Ari, if you please proceed to the next slide and click that link, I have a pre-recorded demo that I can narrate, and we can kind of see how the entire system works. So we also do have a little bit of a YouTube channel that has some kinds of animations and videos about the system as well. I believe you have to hit Control-click, Ari, I think, on the link to get that to pop up.
You don't see it?
No, I do not.
Okay.
Is it?
Hold on one second. Sorry.
Unless everybody else sees it, I don't think I see it.
No, it's not. The cursor is going around.
Okay. Hold on one second. New share, advanced whiteboard, Safari. Now everybody sees it, right?
No. There we go.
Oh, there we go.
Okay, let me start from the beginning.
Yeah, if you want to start from the beginning, can you please full screen that too, Ari? All right, so this is basically we're going to start at the employee view, and then we can see the HR admin view. So the entire process really starts with an employee receiving this email. In this email, there's a registration link. They would click this link to create their username, their password, sign into their home page. Next, we have a link to our channel, so that's where this video is from. We also have in-house animations and little commercials and cartoons that we do to promote the system as well and kind of, provide training. And finally, we have my information down there. If the employee has any kind of initial direct concerns, they can call me. So we have the employee homepage now. This is what an employee would see upon sign-in. From here, they can manage their benefits. They can know exactly how many days left are in open enrollment. We also have aggregated documents and links here, as well as our customer support service center. I know Joanne touched on that a little bit, but we do have agents that speak Spanish, English, Chinese, and Russian. They're licensed to answer insurance product questions or technical questions, whether that be, like a password reset or any kind of login issues. We have agents that will be happy to take those questions. We also have the plan documents on the home page aggregated for the employee to see. Those are also on the benefit pages as well. But if they want to learn a little bit about the plans, they can do that, as well as any kind of custom links for the company, as well as your 401k portal link. Without any further ado, we're just going to hit start enrollment, and we're going to get started in the enrollment process. So for a new hire, obviously we wouldn't have this information. They'd be entering this information in. If they were not a new hire, they were an ongoing employee we're just offering benefits to, we could pre-populate that form so that, it's more of just the employees going in and making sure that everything looks right. So that's my first name, my last name, we have my gender, all of that looks correct. And then once I fill out this information, I'm just going to be hitting save and continue and going to the next page. So it's just one page completing the task, moving on to the next page. Here we're going to enter in our address. We actually have a cool little integration with the United States Postal Service. So when you click this button and click Save and Continue, this box that pops up, it's actually our system diving into the United States Postal Service database, pulling the matching address on file and bringing it back to us. So we actually have the same address on file for the employee as, the mail carrier service does, and that helps with sending cards and things like that out. Next, we have our dependent information creation screen. So if we wanted to get our family enrolled, have a spouse, children, we can do that here. For brevity's sake, it's just going to be myself as the lone employee getting myself signed up. But, we would have all the required fields and everything that you need to get that signed up. So we're going to get into the first benefit. Before we do that, if you look at the top right screen, we can see the exact course of events, all the benefits that were being offered for the employee. So we can kind of get a full idea of what's happening before, we actually complete the whole process. We have these 3 medical plans being presented to the employee. Obviously, we want to know, as much information as we can about the plans to make the most educated decision. So we're going to click that plan details button. That's going to show us not only the services rendered from the plan, but the costs and the eligibility qualifications as well. We can take all 3 plans. We can compare them on one chart, as you can see here with our highlighted plan in green, and we can actually get a feel for all of the plans at once on one screen. And this is all in the name of giving the employee as much information as possible about the plans. We also have videos for the plans. This is another one of our YouTube videos or animations, as well as plan documents. That was what we saw on the home page, but we can actually come here to the employee benefit page and pick that. One last thing is, if we did not want a plan, it's still an active waive that we have to, a choice that we have to make. So we can just click don't want this benefit and we'll pick our reason why. But for right now, I, as the employee, I'm just going to get myself signed up in this medical plan and proceed. Each benefit plan is pretty much, the same concept on each page. We're going to look at the plan details, learn about the plan, how much it's going to cost us. We're going to compare the plans to find out, the differences between the plans. And we're also going to be, watching the videos and clicking on any plan documents. So, same type of deal. I'm just going to get myself signed up for this dental plan and hit save and continue. Now for this vision plan, I'm going to waive myself out. And so we can see all the reasons the employee can choose and we can get ourselves waived out. This is for the sake of the end summary screen where we can actually see what that waive looks like. So the next benefit is where we would link the 401k. Each employee through their enrollment experience would come to this page. We would have whatever the, communications, the marketing about your plan listed right here. If there's any instructions, special documents that have things like that, we would communicate with the employee. We'd give them a place to go. This is not something that they can skip. It doesn't affect, it wouldn't affect their ability, to be using the entire system, but we would have every single employee going through the system see that page, driving our business to your portal. The last thing that the employee needs to do is just look at the summary screen to make sure everything looks correct. For tracking purposes, we can see they've interacted with the medical, dental, and visited the 401k. We can see exactly how much they're going to be paying. They can see how much they're going to be paying per pay period, and then we can see that waived plan down there. So once we hit click to sign, the data is being pushed into our system. We can now have the HR user at your client come in, set them up with their own account and have them run reports and stuff like that. So I'm just going to briefly put on the screen a demo enrollment report just to kind of showcase the customization and reporting capabilities. We can capture anything, any employee decision in the system, so we can have their demographic information as well as their enrollment information. And this is easily just for the sake of tracking all employee progress. So what we'd be doing is setting your client up with an HR user. That means they get their own kind of login screen, their own homepage, different than the employee. This is what that would look like. From here, they can manage the entire group. This is where we would be training them as well on how to use these features. They wanted to add an employee. It's very simple. They wanted to track the employee and manage the group. They could also do that as well. We can see who's been hired recently, who's terminated, a couple more employee management tools on the bottom, sending bulk welcome emails out, as well as a news feed for all employee decisions. And this is really just for the sake of making everything very transparent and efficient for both the employee and the employer. We can manage the plans as well, see what's actually active, who's eligible for what, who's enrolled in what. And then finally, the last thing I wanted to touch on is all of our reporting capabilities. So we have many different reports that we can use here. One that's the most important is our open enrollment report. And this is just for the sake of our system showcasing, in a very visible way with this pie chart, who is enrolled, who's not enrolled. We can fuel the enrollment if we need to reach out to people, things like that. So that was the entire system from start to finish. I apologize for all these other unrelated YouTube videos, but it's designed to, not only make it easier for the employee, but to add value for, what you're giving to the client, and you can also make money from that as well. So I'll pass it back to Joanne. I think we have one more slide to.
Can we see it?
Not yet.
Not yet?
Yeah, I think I see your face, Ari.
Oh, you see my face. That's great. People want to see. Hold on. Yeah, the technology, one of these days, it's only been like, 4 or 5 of these. Okay, PowerPoint. There we go. Hold on.
One back.
Yes.
There you go. All right. So I just thank you, Brian, for the demonstration. I'm just going to take a moment to recap a little bit of what we've covered, so that we can just go over again to make sure you have a good understanding of how you could benefit and your clients. It's a great way for you to expand your client base or provide additional services to your clients and earn more money. It's also a great way for the clients to receive these technologies that we talked about and resources, and they will also save thousands of dollars because they're not investing in these platforms. So you'll be able to provide these value-added services and technology and cost savings for your clients, and they will again include the learning management system. That's for any client that partners with us for group health insurance for 2 people or more. And you will also be able to provide them an online benefits administration platform, any client that partners with us for health insurance, 2 people or more, and they need to offer 3 voluntary benefit offerings to their employees, whether it be the dental division, life AD&D, critical illness, etc. And lastly, the revenue sharing that is provided is for those who partner with us, as long as you hold insurance licenses, or will receive fees from discounted products if unlicensed. And FBA will compensate between 20 to 30% commissions for any referrals that you bring to our attention. So if there's any questions that you have, feel free to ask, or you can contact either one of us directly. And I think
we have a couple of questions. And first of all, you can, all your benefits, you can take out, like, for example, if an RIA or a TPA knows of a client that has an insurance person, you can take out some of the products and kind of be like a smorgasbord, mix and match, take out, it's not.
Yeah, so if they were to bring us on as a broker of record, okay, for the health insurance, we'll give them that learning management system. We'll also give them the Ben Admin platform as long as they add in 3 voluntary benefits.
Okay.
If an insurance broker wants to bring us on as a TPA for the non-tax products, we can do that as well.
Okay. I do have some questions for you. Number 1, what size do small firms start utilizing your services? Do they generally have an HR rep?
Well, small businesses we consider as under 100 employees. We can work with any organization with a minimum of 2 employees and north. Not all of them in the low end have HRIS, which, this is really a value add for several reasons. As you know, a lot of companies are downsizing. In many cases, they don't even have HR. So this is 2 great formulas to give them. Give them a Ben Admin platform. We've got HR people that they can tap into, and it's unlimited access. And we'll do the employee handbooks. They get the open enrollment guides. It's got, I love it. I think it's awesome.
Next question. Can the employee start their enrollment and save an incomplete enrollment without submitting it, or do they have to start all over again?
They can begin and come back whenever they like. They have a window, and that's when we go to that homepage. It'll let them know how many days left for enrollment. So they have up until then to make their final decision. But they can come in, get out halfway, and come back in and start with come in where they ended off last time, basically.
Okay. Last question. One of the issues I see with HSA benefits is the lack of perception of it as a great way to save for retirement due to the fact that it tends to be siloed as part of the health benefit. Have you addressed this issue with your clients at all?
Yeah, every situation we take on a case-by-case basis. So HSA, has been something that organizations are offering to their employees, and they can build up year over year, some savings. They can take it with them, which is great. It's a, non-tax product for them.
And we've had discussions as you further roll this out, you'll be offering more and more different types of benefits. But I think that this is a great way for anybody considering a pooled employer plan, or currently has a multiple employer plan, or even just wants to offer. It's like a wheel. To me, I see it as a wheel of benefits to push to your clients. And just, in this extraordinary times and the retirement plan marketplace being very, very competitive, everybody's earning less as a percentage of assets than they did 10, 15 years ago, that this is just another way to get a revenue stream, take control of your clients, give them better benefits and whatnot. So I appreciate Joanne and Brian.
Oh, and thank you. Appreciate it.
And again, reach out to me if you guys want to see any of the slides. And again, speaking of which, next week, that 401k virtual bunch, Mike Webb's going to be a guest of mine from CAMIC. Jeff Todd from Q3 Asset Management. That's going to be next week, 4 p.m. Eastern. It's going to be a half hour. Kind of like I want to say it's like the McLaughlin Group, but not as stuffy and probably a lot funnier. But anyway, our next presentation, usually when people come to me with ideas, I'm going to be frank and honest when I think, an idea is not very good. Many years ago, I knew of somebody who was trying to roll out what EvoShare has done successfully now, which is a rebate program working with a 401k plan. I think that anybody who's in the TPA business or in the RIA business should be offering it to their clients. They were a presenter of mine at my Dodger Stadium event, which was about a year and a half ago in LA. And I believe coming from the left coast is Marissa. Let me get the presentation up and running.
Awesome. Hi, guys. Yeah, I also have the slides as well, but if you want to go ahead and present them, that works too.
Okay, hold on one second.
Okay.
I'm always trying to get the system going.
It's hard when you're going back and forth.
Now, with these share screens and all that kind of stuff. So right here, I got that going.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
it.
Perfect.
Awesome. Well, I'll dive right in. Thank you for having me so much, Ari. And like he said, my name is Marissa Vita, and I'm the Business Development Manager here at EvoShare. So I'm kind of excited to unpack what we're doing, how our solution works, kind of get into what our core product is and the premium features that we have available. But in a nutshell, we are creating a new source of revenue for participants, being able to get percentages of cash back from purchases that we get either online or local. So we've been a company now for almost 4 years, and we've been making pretty big waves in the retirement industry. We've been featured in a ton of different publications, as you can see here. But we are the one evergreen benefit that is linking credit and debit card spending to increase retirement savings. So especially now more than ever, especially during COVID, people have been coming to us and wanting to offer their employees something to save more money. Especially, we've heard of a lot of companies getting rid of their match in this time. Or maybe participants are lowering their contribution or getting rid of them altogether. So we're kind of another solution that can be added onto your employee benefits. That's fun, interactive, engaging, it's educational, and ultimately going to give you hard money back, and not just cash back points, but actually money in your personal bank account and money in your 401k plan. So we can go ahead and go to the next slide. So like I mentioned, we have been working with a ton of different partners. I do want to mention that we have an integration with ADP and Paylocity, which is pretty cool. But we have tons of employers as our clients, but we also work with payroll companies, record keepers, wealth managers, the list kind of goes on. So we're really proud of all our great partnerships that we have going. So we are a financial technology company. So we do take a lot of pride in the fact that we've gone through very extensive due diligence. So we want everybody to always know that to not worry about security breaches, that we use bank level encryption to make sure no one's login credentials are compromised. Obviously, we're dealing with sensitive information. So the PCI compliant that we are kind of gives our clients and partners peace of mind. In 2019, we were actually a winner in the Best Financial Technology for the Genie Awards. So we kind of stem from the idea that most participants feel like they do not have enough money coming from their paycheck to really contribute to their 401k plan, whether that's cost of living or, like I said, the current situation that we have right now. And so the solution is going to be that every time we make a purchase, whether it's Target.com, Best Buy, maybe we're going out to dinner, we could be getting something as big as 5%, 15%, 20% cash back, and being able to contribute this. So like I said, another source of revenue. So we are allowing merchants for a change to fund our goals. Obviously, we spend a lot of money that's coming out of our pockets that we're usually never seeing again. So we have partnered with almost 10,000 merchants, online and local combined, that are giving really good amounts of cash back. So on the next slide, you'll see some pretty well-known brands that we all know and love. 1,300 online companies ranging up to 20% cash back. You'll see Target, Walmart, Groupon, Best Buy, Nordstrom's, Macy's, Expedia. We really have something for everybody. And we also have 8,700 local stores and restaurants nationwide. So depending on where you live, we usually have something for everybody as well. And that can go as high as 15% cash back. And 15% cash back is actually a pretty common number that I see when I'm looking at my local restaurants in LA. So there are two different ways you can earn cash back, locally and online. So if you wanted to earn cash back locally, the main thing you want to do is link your existing credit or debit card to your account. So no need to open up a new card. You can actually link as many cards as you want to your personal EvoShare account. So no limit on the number, and it just has to be a Visa, MasterCard, or American Express. And if you are getting, let's say, mileage points or credit card points from these cards, let's say you have a Delta card or Southwest, et cetera, we're not going to compete with that. So you're able to get EvoShare rewards and money back, as well as still getting those normal cash back or the points that you're getting from your cards. And so the idea is that you're going to swipe the card, your debit or credit card that's linked to your EvoShare profile when you're dining at your local restaurant or when you're shopping at your local store. So by swiping the card that's linked, that is how you're going to make sure that you're getting cash back. So no need to tell them that you're part of our program or have to show them anything. It's really as easy as swiping the card that is linked. And so on the other side of it, to get cash back online is a little bit different way to go about it. You actually don't have to use any specific card that is linked to your profile, but you do need to activate the offer. And so we do know that most people are pretty rooted in their habits, and especially their shopping habits. And they're much more likely just to go to, directly to Target.com before wanting to sign into EvoShare. So for this reason, we've actually created a browser extension. We can go to the next slide. So I'm not sure how many of you guys used a browser extension in the past. Almost every app, every technology company is using these now. But ours has a few unique features. So what the browser extension is going to do is it's going to trigger a pop-up every time you come across one of our participating merchants. It's going to let you know what amount of cash back you can get. And the idea is that you need to click the activate button. And that's really it if you want to get cash back online. You will see this $50 in cash back here at the bottom is actually what your cash back could be worth upon retirement. So we are always highlighting projected value, and just the idea that even micro saving small amounts can be worth so much more upon retirement. So the next slide, you'll see a really good visual of what this looks like. As if I went to Groupon.com, you can see it went ahead and triggered that pop-up. So all I would need to do is click that orange button. The page would basically refresh, and then I would check out as usual. So no need to do anything specific, change anything. You do just want to make sure with the browser extension that you do not have any other browser extensions active that are also cashback programs. So we've all heard of Rakuten or Ebates, as it was known as in the past. So that is the one thing that you just want to be careful for. The browser extensions kind of canceling each other out. So the other feature of the browser extension is going to come into play when you're on Google. So let's say I typed in cheap flights. You'll see that our logo and the cashback offer is right above any type of online merchant that can give you cashback. So this is great if you're kind of searching the web, concert tickets is a great example. If you typed in concert tickets, you would see that you would be getting cash back from StubHub, but maybe not Ticketmaster. And so if the ticket prices are the same, you're going to be much more enticed to go buy from Ticketmaster. So this is a great way to kind of let you know what's part of our program without having to scroll through a list of 10,000. So it looks like we do have one question on the browser extension. Do you need to allow pop-ups in your browser with the add-on extension? So the browser extension is not mandatory. You can still sign into EvoShare, click on the online shopping tab, then it would reroute you to Target and the offer would automatically be activated. But you probably would want to make sure that your browser allows for pop-ups. We do work with Google Chrome, Mozilla Firefox, Edge, and we are working on Safari. So we also are doing a lot of different engagement with our employees. So not only do we always email them, but we're also doing instant notifications. So every time you make a purchase with EvoShare, we'll let you know how much cash back you've earned, and again, what that could be worth upon retirement for your financial future. But the other thing I always like to mention about mobile is that we're actually coming out with our mobile app. So this will be completed, we're thinking sometime in September. So it will be available with Android and iOS. But this is going to be awesome when you're activating offers or you're looking for a local restaurant in your area. So the push notifications are going to be key to utilization, earning more cash back. So now we probably get into the biggest question, which is how are we actually getting money to a 401k plan? So we've come up with a really unique proprietary process. We do know that any type of 401k contributions must be payroll deducted. So this is exactly what we're doing at EvoShare. The idea is that when you're shopping online and locally, you're going to be getting percentages of cash back. And it normally takes around, let's say, 3 to 5 days for the money to come from the merchants into your EvoShare account. And so it will sit in your EvoShare account until the end of the quarter. So we only process these cashback contributions 4 times a year. After Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4. And the idea is you are going to accrue cash back to in your EvoShare account. And then if you go above our $10 minimum, so let's say you only accrued $6 at that quarter, we're not going to process the cash back. But for this example, let's say you've accrued $50 at the end of the quarter, which our average, we just did a report, and our average of contributions is around $55 per quarter. So let's say that I accrued $50 at the end of the quarter. I was eligible to send that money to my 401k. EvoShare would direct deposit that $50 in cash back to your personal bank account. And we would get this bank account information by you entering it into your EvoShare account. And almost at the same time that we're direct depositing the money to your personal bank account, this same amount is going to be deducted from your paycheck as a very normal 401k contribution, but in the flat dollar amount. So we do want to make sure on a plan document side that your plan not only allows for percentage, but also for flat dollar contributions. That's really the only thing that you have to check on before adding EvoShare to your plan. And so you have to kind of think of this as almost like a wash. So even though we're pulling more money from the paycheck, we're also direct depositing that same amount to your personal bank account. And on the next slide, you'll see that there's actually quite a few advantages, especially when you're doing pre-tax. Now we do have the option of Roth, but I will say that 98% of people are choosing pre-tax. And for this exact reason is that you'll see that the gross income is normally $2,000. We're not going to mess with anything that you're normally contributing if that's a percentage. So if you're contributing 2% already, only $40, we're not going to mess with that. But because of EvoShare, let's say that an additional $200 is going to be withheld from your paycheck and sent to your 401k. So this is going to adjust your gross income, which is going to hit you with less taxes. So you can see on the left, a paycheck without EvoShare versus paycheck with. You're going to be hit with less taxes. And then the money that we actually direct deposit to your personal bank account, that $200, is also non-taxed according to the IRS. So they view this as like a merchant savings discount. So even though we like to say it's a wash, it's way more of a net positive. You're going to end up with more cash on hand and ultimately more in your retirement savings account. So hopefully that breakdown kind of clears any questions up. See if there's any questions. So we basically break our product down into two different sectors. So one is called EvoShare's core product. And the core product is being able to send cash back to the 401k or 403b, the IRA or Roth IRA, and then the college savings fund. So the key thing to note as well is if you are sending money to an IRA or college savings fund, or even student loan account, which is one of our premium features that we'll get into, there's actually no payroll deduction necessary. So that's kind of a unique thing. The only time we have to payroll deduct it is when we're sending the money to the 401k plan. But if somebody did choose one of our other amazing saving vehicle options, EvoShare would send the money quarterly directly to the IRA or directly to the college savings fund. So the plan sponsor, the employer, the HR person, even the payroll person is not getting involved like they are with the 401k. So can I do this deferral without employee involvement, or does the employer need to sign up for EvoShare? So we are a benefit that does have to be rolled out from your employer to the employee. So we don't just offer it to individuals, but if it is something that you're interested in using, you could just maybe get us in touch with somebody over at your company. So we have 4 different premium features that can be added on. Kind of think of these as like a la carte options. So first one I mentioned was cash back to student loans. You can actually go to next slide. We'll go one by one. Perfect. So obviously student loans is probably, I think, the most popular premium feature that I sign people up for, just because student loan debt is a real thing. It prevents people from saving money, buying houses, tons of different things. And most people have student debt now. So depending if you have more millennial employees or whatever that may be, it's a great thing to add on. And it's a very affordable solution to pay down student debt quicker. And again, this money is coming from the merchants. It's not even coming from your own bank account. So the second one we have is going to be cash back from family members, another really popular feature. This is being able to invite your family members, even friends, to create their own EvoShare account and basically accrue their own cash back. But whatever they actually earn in cash back gets bundled with the employee's money and then sent to their saving vehicle. So a good example could be a husband-wife team. Maybe the wife does not have a 401k plan, but the husband does. She could be earning cash back, and whatever she accrues at the end of the quarter will get bundled with her husband's cash back and then sent to his 401k. So this could also be, a great example could be grandparents wanting to help save for their grandchild's college savings fund. So this is another kind of good feature that is easily added on. Third one is going to be micro savings. So the biggest reason why people get rid of their 401k plans is because their employees are not participating in it, which is obviously a big problem. So micro savings is going to not only increase engagement, participation, but overall contributions. And the way that we do that is making it really, really easy to send bonus contributions to your 401k. So instead of having to sign into your record keeper platform, up your percentage, which is going to happen monthly, you're able to do a one-time send off to your 401k. So you could choose $5, $10, $15, and with just a click of a button, you're basically adding that amount. And it still gets payroll deducted, just like the normal cash back from merchants. So think of the cash back you're getting from merchants and then what you're micro saving or impulse saving and combining those and then payroll deducted sent to the 401k. So this is kind of just an easy way to send more money. And it's a one-time thing. It's a one-time send. Last feature is going to be co-branding. This is great if an employer wants to take over our whole platform, make it their own. Maybe they want to roll out their whole financial wellness program. And so basically it would be your guys' brand, your logos, your messages, colors, everything would be customized to boost your brand loyalty. So these features, like I said, are all kind of a la carte options, can be added in the beginning or as you're going through the EvoShare platform. So that kind of sums up premium features. So if anybody is interested, obviously, in learning more, definitely feel free to reach out. And I'm not sure if we have any additional questions.
Yeah, does the contribution qualify the employer match? It's a regular deferral, so the answer is yes.
Yes.
And are you able to do this with 457B plans? I believe the answer is no.
I'm not sure what that is. So
A
hopefully,
governmental 457B plan is governmental employees are not allowed to have 401k plans. So there's the deferral savings plan called the 457B. But the answer is no. You only do it with 401k and 403B and IRAs and 529s.
yes, at this time. You never know what the future. We're actually right now adding on HSA, and I think that's about complete. And we are possibly doing an emergency savings fund. So we're always adding new things. We're always reinventing ourselves. So maybe in the future.
Can you change your contribution from a college savings to an IRA?
Yeah. So when you basically create your own EvoShare account, if you go to your My Profile tab, you're able to go back and forth. So we don't split any cash back 50-50, like half to IRA, half to 401k. But at any time, you can just say, I want to now send the money here. It's totally also going to depend on what your employer is allowing you option-wise. So if they didn't choose student loan, that would not be an option for you to switch to.
And I can do this with an IRA on my own, of course.
Yep. It's your personal IRA, it's not coming from your employer.
And what does EvoShare cost the employer?
So we go off the number of employees at a company. So just to kind of give you a range, our core product, so 401k, IRA, 529, if you had 100 employees, it'd be $100 a month. And so this will go lower or higher depending on the number of employees, but that's easy to remember. I can send you guys or send Ari a pricing brochure if you don't have one, and you can always send that out.
Any other questions?
Mm-hmm.
Marissa, it was fantastic. Again, I think we have one more question. Is this considered a Section 125 benefit? No, it's not. What it is, it's a 401k benefit. The only thing that you would actually have to do, and I've discussed it, so no on both 457B tax exempt and governmental. Yeah, it's only for 401k, 403B, IRA, 529. The only caveat that I've seen that we've had discussions with Jose, who's at EvoShare and Eugene, is that the employer would likely, depending on the language in the 401k plan, would have to have an amendment to allow for the non-percentage based deferral. So the one-time quarterly election, they would actually have to tailor the plan document to allow it. That's all really would need to be done to make sure that we don't have to involve themselves with the regular deferrals, like you said earlier, that you don't want to get involved with that. And I think it's a great benefit. It doesn't go through the whole headaches of dealing with the custodian and depositing the money over there. And it's just a cleaner way. And, employees are already shopping online, might as well get a 401k benefit out of it. Any kind of buck helps. Do you guys have any idea who has who's accrued the most money, like a participant? Is there like a running tab, like which participant's the most active on EvoShare in terms of savings for 401k plans?
Oh, like out of our users?
Yes.
Yeah, we have a few. We have a few in mind that will save a lot more than others. Like we said, our average, what we're seeing people contribute per quarter is around $55. But we have people saving up to $500 a year. Like I said, it's a little bit more rare, but it's possible. We have a few people.
So, okay, Mike again. So all the employers need to do is engage you and perhaps amend their plan. No additional work required by the employer. That's correct. It's fairly easy to sign up with EvoShare.
Yeah, and the onboarding, getting employees onboarded and even get the employer onboarded, we make all those steps really easy. We pretty much do almost all the work on our end. So you would, if you wanted to get started, you create an employer account, and then we would roll it out to the employees through email communication and doing an onboarding employee webinar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, I appreciate it, Marissa. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me.
And last but not least, I'm going to eventually get to my presentation. But before I do that, again, got a shill for all the events. Hopefully, we will have a live version of that 401k conference this December in Las Vegas. I know with planning things out, I didn't think that we'd be here as we are now in month, I think it's 4 already. At least, July 10th. Hopefully we will have our event December the 4th in Las Vegas. And again, like I said, the 2020 events, the 3 events that were postponed, they will happen. And hopefully before that, we have a vaccine, and we're all back together safely again. My presentation is going to talk about some of the changes that have been going on. If you've been to the last event, then you've heard it before with a slight change, because we did actually have one change that happened soon. Well, not soon, last week. So I did update it a little bit. So let me just start my slideshow. And of course, when I need it to show up, it blocks the slideshow. Okay, my presentation, there's got to be a morning after. First presentation I used to do a good one on in the live 401k conferences, Airplane. Airplane's my favorite movie of all time. Then we segued to first couple of virtual conferences, a Seinfeld type presentation, and now we do the disaster movie presentation. And of course, you know, I've said that life has turned into a disaster movie, like the Poseidon Adventure, which is one of my favorite disaster movies, probably my favorite one of all time. But unfortunately, life has turned into a really bad disaster movie. When Time Ran Out, that's a really dreadful movie with Paul Newman, Jacqueline Bisset, one of Irwin Allen's, I think Irwin Allen's last disaster movie. It got progressively worse after the Poseidon Adventure. It really petered out with The Swarm, Beyond the Poseidon Adventure, and When Time Ran Out. And of course, we had the CARES Act provision that was passed. Obviously, affected individuals, an individual who's diagnosed with COVID-19, an individual whose spouse or dependent is diagnosed with COVID-19, or is an individual who experiences adverse financial consequences as a result of being quarantined, furloughed, laid off, experiencing a reduction of work hours, inability to work due to lack of childcare, yada, yada, yada. I think it was one of the first virtual conferences that I did. There was a discussion, well, what happens if your wife is affected? And the answer really was no. We had a presenter who thought the answer should be yes. And the IRS, I believe, provided guidance that the answer is yes. If the spouse is having some negative job reductions and experiences as a result of COVID, the participant whose spouse is affected would still be qualified as an affected individual. And of course, these are provisions with the CARES Act that were optional. It's an option to have all or part of the CARES Act. So for example, I just did a plan amendment for a client who wanted to do the amendment now, and the only CARES Act provision that they allowed was dealing with the deferment of loans, as we'll discuss. But the CPD, the coronavirus premature distribution provision, is allowing for up to $100,000 that will be set and apart and different from hardship distributions. It won't be subject to the 10% early distribution penalty that we always have under Section 72T of the code. It won't attach any distribution from any qualified plan that is made on or after January 1, 2020, before December 31, 2020 to an affected individual. And again, when dealing with loans, again, another optional provision, it's going to expand access to plan loans. The plan loan limits go from 50,000 or 50% to 100,000 or 100%. And more importantly, for people who have existing loans, it allowed for deferment for up to a year, regardless of the 5-year repayment period. So the future payments will be adjusted to reflect any interest accrued, and the term and length of the loan will be extended. Again, another optional provision. RMDs wait for 2020. If you took it out, the 2020 RMD before the CARES Act, you could roll it back in. The IRS provided guidance after the CARES Act was passed and applied it and allowed for people to do that. For employers, obviously some issues. We have a tax due date now for individuals. It was extended to July 15th, but we have employers that are on an extension. And if they owed a contribution for 2019, the due date is usually the tax return date of 2020. That had been adjusted to 2021. So if you owed a contribution for a money purchase or a defined benefit plan. These are plans that require a minimum contribution, and you owed it for 2019. The employer, then you would not owe it for the tax due date, which would be, March 15th or September 15th on extension. You would be able to delay it until January 1, 2021. You'd have to adjust accrued interest. It doesn't really help for plans with the 2020 plan year. Plans that were in trouble for 2020, there's some guidance to allow for safe harbor disruptions and stop safe harbor contributions. But in terms of plans that required minimum funding, we're past the date of no return, which is when participants accrue 1,000 hours. So there's no way now of stopping accruals for 2020 if you didn't have an amendment in place. Plans don't have to be amended until the last day of the first plan year commencing on or after January 1, 2022. However, I already have language if plans wanted to already amend their plan. Again, like I said, loans and CPD distributions are optional. Again, coronavirus-related distribution. The FAQ didn't expand the definition of qualified individual, but within the last week or so, they did. So a spouse having issues in employment will now be qualified as a qualified individual for their spouse who's the actual participant. A qualified individual can choose to repay all or part of their distribution, the coronavirus premature distribution, within 3 years of the date of distribution, as long as the plan will allow it. The individual would then claim a refund by amending their tax return, which to me is a big headache, especially if it's 2-3 years down the line. If the plan sponsor doesn't adopt the coronavirus-related distribution rules in the CARES Act, the qualified individual who receives a distribution for any other reason still may treat the distribution as a coronavirus-related distribution on their tax return. Clarification on the participant certification that they are an affected individual for the CARES Act. The plan sponsor may rely on an individual certification that the individual satisfies the conditions to be a qualified individual to determining whether the distribution is a coronavirus-related distribution, unless the plan sponsor knew that the participant is lying or making it up. While the plan sponsor can rely on certification, the individual is entitled to treat the distribution as a coronavirus-related distribution for purposes of the individual's federal income tax return, only if the individual actually meets the eligibility requirements. Murder hornets could be bad as a swarm. Unfortunately, fortunately, murder hornets didn't really turn into a big thing. It's kind of like Lambada. Everybody thought Lambada was going to be the biggest thing, and then it turns out there's only one song, and that was it. So murder hornets really didn't turn out to be a big thing. And they didn't turn to be out as bad as The Swarm, which is a really bad Michael Caine movie from Irwin Allen. If you ever have any free minutes on YouTube, put it in. The Swarm trailer, really bad special effects. Just an overall bad movie. The DOL late deferral deposit relief. Normally, you have to get it in as soon as possible, but EBSA gave a notice, the Employer Benefit Security Administration, to give guidance to relax the timely deposit. So beginning March 2020 and ending on the 60th day following the announced end of the national emergency, which we're still under. The DOL won't take enforcement action regarding a temporary delay in depositing salary deferrals to the plan if it's solely because of the coronavirus pandemic. Problem with that is you still have to answer the 5,500, which means that you still might get possibly audited on that late deferral that you answered on your 5,500. So plan sponsors could take advantage. It's great. Yes, Michael Caine's finest hour was nuts. And yes, I like how, Greg, yes, Lambada. Yeah, well, yeah, Lambada, The Forbidden Dance. That's funny, you bring that up. Lambada movie, there are two Lambada movies, Lambada and The Forbidden Dance. The Lambada movie did not have the Lambada song in it. The Forbidden Dance had the Lambada song in it. and they both flopped, thankfully. I think that was the reason the instant catch on. So, sorry for the segue. So anyway, you can plan sponsor can rely on this late deferral guidance, but the problem is you still plan sponsor still has to answer on the 5500, still a possible audit. Not only get the audit, you can also get the friendly letter from the Department of Labor a year or two later. Hi, we just noticed that you said you had late deferrals on your 5500, yet we don't see you having an application in with our their voluntary fiduciary compliance program. Speaking of late, Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. Beyond the Poseidon Adventure came out in 1972. Apparently by then Irwin Allen had flopped. The Swarm was a pretty bad movie. I think he flopped with some TV shows. So about 7 years later, he did Beyond the Poseidon Adventure. Really bad sequel. Again, I don't know what he had with Michael Caine, but this was Michael Caine's second movie with Irwin Allen after The Swarm, but it was pretty bad. DOL e-disclosure. Department of Labor is going to move into the 21st century, allowing for e-disclosure. Applies to all ERISA required covered documents, not safe harbor notices as now. Documents have to be easily understood, easily searched format, widely searched format. And the administrator has got to provide participants with initial paper notice, inform them that the process is changing for the distribution of electronic, to allow for electronic delivery. Notice must state that email addresses will be used, how to access the documents, and always has to give participants the right to opt out. So if people want a paper copy, they still can do that. Covered documents can be provided by email or the website posting /mobile app. Email address could be home or work email, not email just set up for notices. So this is a big change because previously the Department of Labor only allowed for e-disclosure if you worked in a business where everybody had access to a work terminal at work, like a TPA shop or a law firm. And that would be problematic if the file guys in the file /copy room didn't have access. But, the rules on the email, the subject line's got to have this, has to state the disclosure about your retirement plan. If there's an attachment, it's got to identify what the document it is, provide the contact information from the employer as well as the rights to get a paper notice. And again, always a right to opt out of e-disclosure. And plan administrators must ensure that the electronic delivery system will bounce back if, send out a message if an email address is invalid or inoperable. The plan administrator has to cure the problem immediately and treat the covered individual as, is opting out of electronic delivery and furnish a paper copy of the undelivered document as soon as possible. And plan administrators are required to ensure that the website or mobile app actually works. And a covered document must be available on the website or app no later than the date on which it has to be furnished, and it has to remain on that website or app for at least a year, or if later, after it's superseded by a subsequent version. So for example, SPD, plan sponsors usually get an SPD every 6 years for restatements. That's when if later comes into play. If the covered documents are made available on a website or through an app, the plan sponsor /administrator has got to provide covered individuals the notice of internet availability. It's got to be written in a manner calculated to understood by the average plan participant. So that doesn't mean the average ERISA attorney or the average actuary. It's got to be in a language that average participants can understand. There are similar rules as to the email documents, such as subject line, right to opt out, contact info, as well as the email address and availability of documents. And plan administrators have to furnish that NOIA each time a new covered document is available. So to avoid notice overload, EPSA did allow for plan administrators to furnish a consolidated notice for 4 categories of information: SPD, annual notices, any other document, and any notice required by the Internal Revenue Code if authorized by the Treasury Department. And it's got to be furnished annually. Hopefully, the IRS will jump on the e-disclosure bandwagon and finally, finally get on board. And usually a lot of times when the Department of Labor acts, IRS is going to hitch their, wagon to it. The Towering Inferno, that was the movie that Irwin Allen did right after Poseidon Adventure. And 20th Century Fox and I believe Warner Brothers put the movie together. So it was too big for one studio, and the stars' egos, McQueen and Paul Newman, Steve McQueen and Paul Newman, each had to get the same type of billing, and they actually had to get the same amount of lines. So that's certainly interesting. If you ever see the trailer for that one, it's just hilarious because they keep on repeating, Steve McQueen is the fire chief. Paul Newman is the architect. And great movie for O.J. Simpson. He played a security guard. Did a lot more acting in that than the first Naked Gun movie, but not as much as the murder trial. The DOL new fiduciary rule, it's lurking because last time I did a presentation, we talked about, that there was going to be something available. Well, they did release it last week, a new fiduciary rule, as opposed to the new fiduciary rule that the courts invalidated a couple years back, and really the Trump administration kind of rolled over by not appealing the decision because they were against the new rule. The new rule keeps the 5-part fiduciary test of the old rule and kind of marries the SEC regs dealing with best interests, the buy reg. I'm not really going to talk a lot about it because, again, it's fairly new, but most importantly, it's a presidential election year. And the last time we had a presidential election year, we had the new rule. And what happened to the new rule? It was an Obama administration rule, kept on being delayed. Trump came into office, put a hold on that new rule, and then eventually the courts invalidated the rule. And of course, EPSA under the Trump administration didn't put up a fight because they were against it. Since the proposal just happened and the likelihood of a final rule taking place to be administered in 2021, we do have a presidential election in November. If Trump is reelected, the rule will likely be promulgated. If Biden is elected, then it's possible that the rule will be withdrawn, and we may go back to a similar rule of the new rule, which was under the Obama administration, the best interest and all that kind of jazz. But I'm not going to write 50 articles about it because there'll be other risk attorneys who will write 50 articles about it. And it's just until we know what's going to happen. Again, the current rule, that 5-part fiduciary test, has been in place since 1974, effective in years beginning January 1, 1976. I'm just not going to just waste time in talking about it because right now we don't know what's going to happen in the next few months. And like I said, politics does play a huge part in our regulatory landscape. Speaking of big, Victoria Principal, huge fan because I'm a huge fan of Dallas. Her permanent in Earthquake, I think that the permanent itself, her hairdo should have gotten some kind of co-starring role in the credits. Earthquake, it's got Charlton Heston, and it's got George Kennedy, who of course George Kennedy, star of all the airport movies. And if you ever notice in the airport movie, his job kept on changing. He always played the same character. He went from, I think, he was like the head baggage handler in the first one. He became an airport executive, and then he was the pilot shooting a flare gun of a Concorde jet that was upside down in Concorde, the Airport 79. And of course, the running joke, you should be expecting an email from me on Monday. No, actually you won't. Here's my contact information. Of course, I'm sure you know it. If you want slides, instead of sending it to me in the Q&A or the messages, please send me an email and I will answer back and provide it to you, of course. Yes, Ari, you go a little fast for me. English is my second language. Would you please let your presentations be available to us? Thank you. Yes. I speak fast because I'm from Brooklyn and we speak really, really quickly. So for even people who speak with English being their first language, I speak extraordinarily fast. Also, I want to get people out of here early or on time. Last question, last but not least, Mike Webb. Worst Michael Caine movie, The Swarm, Jaws of Revenge, or something else? That really, listen, I've seen quite a few of those. I've seen Blame It on Rio, which is, really a bad movie. I want to say The Swarm. Jaws of Revenge was pretty bad too. But Jaws 3D was even worse than that. I actually saw Jaws 3D in the theaters. But let's face it, Michael Caine has won 2 Academy Awards, and he did do the Nolan Dark Knight trilogy. So yes, consumer protection will be bigger in the Biden administration. And I did not know that George Kennedy is a fellow Chaminade High School grad. Wow, you learn something new every day. My local town councilman's also a Chaminade graduate. Wow. The late, great George Kennedy, who did win an Oscar for, what's it called? That was that Paul Newman movie. What's it called? At my age, I'm already forgetting things. Cool Hand Luke, that's what he won the Oscar for. That's right. Thanks, Greg. And thanks for Mike. I was on the tip of my tongue. I just knew that the failure to communicate. Strother Martin, I'm sorry. So anyway, that's it for all the segues, and that's it for the conference. We're going to try another one, probably second week in August. Obviously, 2-hour event, works a lot quicker. People are, working a lot more in the office. So next week, I'll be on with Mike Webb and Jeff Todd for a little soiree / discussion. Hope you can stop for that. And again, I think it's going to be August 14th, I want to say, is that Friday, the second week in August. That 401k Virtual Conference 5. You'll, of course, get more information about that. And again, like I said, please email me and we will get you the slides. So thank you so much. Take care. Let's go, Mets.